Today, we are diving into something our guest calls emotional outsourcing. She is a certified somatic life coach, a nurse practitioner, podcast host, and an author of a forthcoming book all about this topic. So I'm pleased to welcome my guest, Beatriz
That's right.
Victoria Albina. Is that correct?
Yep, that's it.
Yes. How do you prefer to be called, though?
Bea works.
Bea, okay. Bea, I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah. So I want to begin with you, Bea, and dive into your origin story because I feel like there's something personal there of why you may be so passionate because I've sensed like you are deeply passionate about what you do. And I believe I read either on your website or, somewhere in piece of content that I consumed that you didn't just study this work, but you like lived it. You were the one that pleased everyone but yourself. You're the one that didn't let anyone down but yourself. So is there an origin story? Where does this passion come from to help people, women specifically, kind of undo this pattern that they've been stuck with to reclaim their true self?
Yeah, what I'm really passionate is the pattern that I saw in patient after patient after patient and client after client after client and in my friends too, right? This habit that we didn't even know we were living in because it was such a default of putting everyone and everything ahead of ourselves instead of attuning to ourselves, of negating our body's brilliance and looking outside of ourselves for our truth. And I think when we really broaden our view, we can see just how deeply this habit of emotional outsourcing, which I can happily define, really pervades everything in our culture, right? And really brings so many of us out of our sense of authenticity, intentionality, connection with true self, and into this lens of really looking towards life through the lens of, will they like it? Will they think it's good enough? Will they praise me for it? Will they validate me? Will they love me for it? Right? It becomes this fully outside way of living that eventually negates our own autonomy, right? We don't even realize it. But, I work with women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who are like, yeah, girl, I don't know what I want for dinner. Or if I do know, I'm kind of scared to say it because what if I pick a bad restaurant and then everyone's upset? Right? What if they have a bad time and then I will compulsively feel like it's on me to manage that. It's on me to take care of that. It's on me to like fix and solve and heal that when it's like, you can let your husband just not like his dinner, right? Like he's unlikely to die, but there's this thing within us that says, I have to fix it. It's on me. It's my job, my raison d'etre on this planet. That's a lot to carry, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. And when you definitely put it that way, it's even common language I've definitely heard, with my younger self, with amongst my friends, just like online normal like narrative. It just does seem very common. And you said something that is prevailing in our culture. Why? Before we dive in, because you definitely need to help us define what emotional outsourcing is. And we'll dive really deep into that because it's your area of expertise. But what did you mean by that? Like, how is it so prevailing in our culture?
Well, I think it pervades every area of the culture because relationships are the core of human experience. Right? Particularly in the US, we're sold this story of rugged individualism, right? That it's you against the world. Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get to it, be a rock, be an island, right? But that's not how humans work. We are pack animals. We're community-based animals. And so when we have this profound, I want to call it almost a glitch in how we think about relating, that comes into our work, it comes into our friendships, into our romantic relationships, into how we parent and how we are parented, how we relate to our siblings and our neighbors and people in the customer service phone, right? Like it pervades the way we talk to and relate to and experience every moment of human life because everything is at its core about relating. And so, in your question, you also asked me to define emotional outsourcing, which I would be thrilled to do. I think you'll like this. I trademarked it because it's such a good term.
Mhm, mhm.
So I came up with the term because I've met very few people for whom the old school definitions of codependency really feel good or right or like really makes any sense. It's become so ubiquitous, it means nothing, but it also means so much. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an old outdated term for a lot of us. I've also met so many people who would say I'm perfectionist. Are you kidding me? Not me. I mess up all the time. Ahem. Ahem. People pleaser. Oh my God. I only wish I was a people pleaser. People are so displeased with me.
Mm.
Uh-huh. Right? Right. So there were terms out there that were a gateway to help, a gateway to support, a gateway to self-understanding that I am, and the people in my circle were butting our heads against because none of them felt like they did the work, right? They weren't really linguistically giving us what we needed to feel seen and heard, and like there was a direction to move in. And so I sat down and really thought about what we're doing. And emotional outsourcing came to me, and I define it as when we chronically and habitually, that's the unintentional part, we chronically and habitually source our sense of the three vital human needs: safety, belonging, and worth. And we source those from everyone and everything outside of ourselves instead of from within,
Mhm.
at a great cost to self, right? To capital S, self, to our sense of who am I in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And like when you put it that way, what really clicked with me is that those terms that has been thrown around in society and culture about people pleasing or codependent, etc., versus your term, emotional outsourcing, it sounds like those outdated terms is associated with kind of like a character flaw versus it sounds like when you said the doing, the emotional outsourcing is doing, it's not about your character, but more about the action or the habit, maybe. So does it take, and it takes away the shame, I feel like sometimes the older terms are associated with.
100%. And I'm like, for folks who are just listening, I am cheesing really hard over here because you just hit like the crux of my work. The
Wow.
old school so 10 points for you. I'll put those in your permanent record. You know, those go in your permanent record. How amazing is that?
Yay,
Yep.
star, gold
Yay.
star. Okay.
So, right, like the old school ways of like managing and dealing with codependency means it's a label, it's who you are. Right. Oh, I'm just a codependent. Oh, silly me. I'm just a people pleaser. It becomes your identity. Right. And our minds, our bodies, our nervous systems, our inner children start to identify with something that really stinks to identify with.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want anyone I love to tell the story I am a codependent. I am a codependent person. What even is that? A, number
Mm.
one, and B, number two, what are you if not perma-effed when it's who you are? It right? Like you're just, oh well, too bad. Try again next lifetime. Hope that reincarnation goes better. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what you so astutely heard and pointed out was that I really think of these habits as survival skills. That
Mhm.
smart little you was like, so listen, parent A always comes home super pissed, and parent B then cowers in parent A's energy, and then fawns really hard, and then they're gonna fight if I don't jump in to be the clown. So da 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 da. Right? Add in 400 different examples of childhood brilliance to solve a parental relating issue, another parent child relating issue, right? Whatever it is that was in the household growing up, or in your first dating relationship, or in your school, or we can expand this and look
Mhm.
at systems of oppression, which is a huge part of my work, because those old stories, I am a codependent, well, it's on you. You're a real mess up, aren't you? You're just a real piece of garbage. Look at you, terrible at life, right? But there is some gestalt of
Mhm.
that. Whereas when we look at it as a survival skill and a habit and absolutely friggin' brilliant, then we can broaden our view and say some portion of it came from our family, right? That was modeled for us. But what if, in addition, some part of us learned how to be codependently relating, perfectionistly relating, people pleasingly relating because of white supremacy, because of settler colonialism, because of the patriarchy, right? Because there are systems holding us down in inequitable ways, right? And so this is a perfectly normal, understandable relationship to and reaction to late stage capitalism, right? And all the tentacles that extend through every area of our lives. So genius of us.
It's the genius of us. Yes.
Seriously, though, right? Like, way to go, kiddo.
And what I also love about that lens is that it's an empowering lens, versus uh being stuck in a victim mentality. Like it's part of my identity, so I'm stuck with it. Versus, no, I've just inherited this from, I love the example you gave about like the childhood with, just trying to be a clown to mediate between like one parent, the other. And like, at my 40 some years of age, I finally gave, like, I surrendered and forgave my parents for just trying their very best and without
Yeah.
blaming them or blaming like myself that I wasn't a good enough child, but just giving a little bit of grace, but also empowering myself. Okay, like what can I do better now to relate? I love also, I already wrote it down here, your language, glitch in relating. I was having a personal conversation with a friend. I'm like, oh my God, I just feel like the biggest problem, especially with the proliferation of AI, is like the fundamental core, like we just don't know how to connect with people, how to relate. So I love that you said that. So how does this emotion, you gave a really good example, childhood example, but I have a feeling this manifests in different relationship dynamics. So can you explain, share more about like how this kind of shows up in all sorts of relationships? What if somebody is saying
Yeah.
like I'm not a perfectionist. Like I don't think
Sure.
I'm emotionally outsourcing. So are there
Totally.
subtle emotional cues?
So many. Yeah,
Mm.
this is my favorite because when I was practicing medicine, my favorite thing was to you know how like a toddler will look at you and go, why? But why? But and people would come to me and they'd be like, I've had heartburn for 20 years and no one can figure out why. And I'd be like, Mwahaha. I will keep asking why until I find the subtlest little thing that's
Mm,
causative. So I love this way of thinking. What is
mm,
the subtle thing you don't even know you're doing that's really making life a lot and relating a lot more challenging than it needs to? So in relationships, we will often feel responsible for other people's emotions. So the person with emotional outsourcing habits cannot relax if someone's upset, if someone's angry, if someone doesn't like dinner, if somebody is having a problem, right? We feel this compulsion to fix it, right? We can't just let people have their feelings. We got to fix them. We got to manage them. We apologize constantly, even if you didn't do anything wrong and you're not even Canadian, just to like keep the peace. Avoiding conflict at all costs, even if it means lying. It's just a little white lie. It's fine, right? Ahem. Downplaying your needs, stuffing down your feelings, feeling resentful, but not expressing it because there's this part of you that thinks your feelings don't count as much as someone else's. Taking on a therapist role in relationships. So this is pan all relationships. So listening, supporting, problem solving, but not getting that support in return for one of two reasons. One, we often play the stoic. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Or we play the martyr. I go into 5 archetypes in my book. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. Focus on you. And that is for a lot of reasons, amongst them, that we don't feel safe being the object of focus, right? That was not safe growing up. We don't want people, if people are looking, they're going to find problems or they're going to project their BS on us. Something's going to happen if people are looking at us. That's not great. We also don't want to be vulnerable because that never turned out well, right? So I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Hey, how are you? Right? So people say, "How you doing?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. How are you? You
Oh, yeah.
didn't answer. You didn't answer. But we don't even, it's a reflex. We don't even realize we're doing it because it's just deep protection, right? Oh, this is one I see all the time. We love a fixer upper. So feeling like you're the only one who sees the real potential in a partner or an employee or a friend or a
Mm,
whatever, and believing it's your job to like get them there, at a great detriment to yourself and your own life.
mhm.
At work, we say yes to extra projects, unpaid labor, emotional caretaking. You know, that woman, she's just the mom of the office. She
Oh,
remembers everyone's birthday. She gets everyone a card. When's her birthday? Oh, I don't think she has one. No, she's fine, right? Right.
yeah,
We
yeah.
do that emotional caretaking. And that brings up the important point, which is that people are more than happy for us to be in these roles, which means we need to be prepared for them to be unhappy when we leave them. Maybe we can bookmark that and come back.
Yeah.
Some more work examples. I think they're helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
We don't feel safe having needs. We don't feel safe having wants, desires, preferences. And so we either don't take vacation, don't take the PTO, don't take care of ourselves, or we feel so guilty
Guilt.
for taking the PTO that's literally owed us, part of our contract, that we spend the whole time we're on the beach, also on Slack, also on
Mhm.
our phones, also, right? Like, not really anywhere. I think maybe, I've never thought about it that way, but at the core of emotional outsourcing is a lack of presence, a deep, profound lack of presence, because we're always projecting ourselves everywhere. And so, yeah, of course, we're not fully on vacation. We're not
Mhm.
fully anywhere.
Yeah.
So then in decision making, we really struggle. We really, really struggle asking everyone else's opinion before making a choice. And that often comes from a deep distrust of self, right? Because we were not a person who was trusted growing up, right? Oh, you're not sad. You're fine. Right. So, okay, I'm not sad, but I do feel sad. But my parent or my caretaker is saying, I'm not sad. I guess I don't know what I feel. They know what I feel better than me. Right. Those are those seeds of emotional outsourcing.
Mhm.
We can land in this really emotionally immature, right or wrong, black or white kind of thinking, right? From emotional immaturity, emotional childhood, where we believe there's like the one right way to do it, which fuels the perfectionist habits and is part and parcel of the perfectionist habits. So when we have to make a decision, well, there's obviously a completely right answer and a completely wrong answer that means I'm a terrible person, I'm unlovable, I'm going to be rejected and abandoned, and I will end up dying cold and alone on a mountainside. Well, geez Louise, where to go for dinner, where to go on vacation, what
Mm.
kind of seltzer to buy, right? All becomes so heavy because it's linked to like this existential dread,
Mm.
right? We can also fly to the complete other extreme because we tend to go to extremes where everything feels so overwhelming. So we put no effort into anything
Mm.
and we just buy whatever we see. We just become really impulsive from that same lack of self trust.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Right? Like, I'm not going to ask myself, I'm just going to do it.
Well,
And then we end up in relationships or jobs or careers that we don't want. But I don't know, someone was like, oh, you should get a master's in teacups. And you're like, okay, here we go. Right? But it's like we let life carry us on its stream
yeah.
instead of actually being present.
Mhm.
I could go on. I love this topic.
I know you do. And that's why I said at the very beginning of the conversation that your passion is just so
Mm,
effervescent. Like it just speaks loudly through the digital screens. And I think that's what makes you so powerful to speak about this. You know, when you can truly sense someone has like lived through it, someone truly cares about their work, that's
No.
when you want to like connect, like, oh, she's not just regurgitating something she's read, but like she really, really cares. So I can feel it. And I want to tap into something you said I think is very, very profound. And I also want to go into so let me just pose this and you let me know if it's the right
Okay,
direction
great.
before we go
That's
into
fun. Yeah.
the nervous system work because I think that's huge. I know it's a core of
Yeah.
your expertise too, but you
Yes.
said something about a loss of a deep trust in ourself. And that really, I think, is a profound um, uh, statement. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it is worth kind of tapping into a little bit. Like
Yeah.
like where does that come from? Is it important to understand, recognize the deep lack of trust in ourselves before we go into the nervous system work again? Because I know we're going to tap into that. But I just wanted to pause there because that really kind of struck with me.
Yeah, right on. I think they are part and parcel, right? Because so much of the work, I mean, the two main jobs of the nervous system, and when I broadly say the nervous system, I'm talking about the autonomic or automatic nervous system, has two main gigs: keep you safe and help you connect. Right? Social engagement, because social engagement keeps you safe, and you're safe if you're socially engaged. So I guess it's the one job with two branches. And so self trust is built in relationship, right? The little
Mhm.
kid who gets scared at the top of the jungle gym and their parent comes rushing over, helicopter style, to say, "Oh my God, let me help you get you down. Oh, you're scared. You're scared. Don't be scared. It's okay. Let me help you. Don't be scared. Don't have feelings. I don't know how to handle you having feelings because I was never allowed to have feelings. And so I never let myself have feelings. So you having feelings feels existentially frightening to me. Let me take the burden of your feelings away from you so you don't have feelings. But I don't realize what I'm creating is a child who doesn't know how to manage their feelings. Oh, oops. And so, what does that kid learn? My feelings are dangerous. My feelings aren't safe. I'm not safe if I'm having feelings. If I have feelings, it freaks my caregiver out, which is dangerous, right? Because then they could leave me, right? You leave the annoying kid when the lions come. You save the unannoying kid, kid brain, right? And trust. How are you going to trust yourself if you have a mammalian root feeling like fear and you're told that's a crisis, that's a problem, I have to handle that for you? Or we're, that Gen X zillennial millennial moment, right? Um, most of us were feral. We were fully unparented. Most of us, in the like, US context. And most of us didn't have anyone to talk to about our feelings, right? Parents weren't home, right? There were so many, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I
That,
mean, I come from immigrant parents. I basically had to parent myself most of the time, but go
yeah,
ahead.
me too. Yeah. My dad had to completely, his credentials didn't transfer when we immigrated to the US. Yeah, my parents were very busy doing their immigrant thing. And so we didn't have the relational space to learn to trust ourselves, right? And so it really, and it's also at the core of what emotional outsourcing is. I am not safe with me. I don't fully belong to me because, right, I'm always projecting self outward. And so it's never okay to be my authentic, autonomous, interdependent self. Who even is that? Right? So, how can I trust my feelings, my thoughts, my wants, my needs, my attachment? So, okay, so back to our immigrant parents working their buns off and our very zillennially fending for ourselves. And I just want to say out loud, no shade, right? To those immigrant parents working hard. But, we had to look, we had to be a number one, grow up way faster than maybe we otherwise would have. That's one thing. And the only framework we had for understanding self was a child's understanding, right? We didn't have that necessarily for many of us. I don't know about for you, but a lot of the folks I work with didn't have a lot of secure attachment that allowed their nervous systems to relax into a sense of self,
Yeah.
right? So we're always sort of grasping, to use the Buddhist term.
I thought you threw the Buddhist term. Uh,
Listen, you got to give credit. You got to
no, because
give credit.
I grew up a Zen Buddhist, but I don't want to digress.
Zen. Oof, man, I worked at the Zen hospice in San Francisco. My wife is Tibetan Buddhist,
Oh,
which is like, I come from Latin America. We're much more like a very sort of Catholic framework for
yeah, exactly.
thinking,
Yeah.
which like has interesting track over with the Tibetans in the pomp and the circumstance and the gold leaf everywhere and all the deities.
Yes.
Right. It's really interesting how those, I was like, oh, this is same, but different. But Zen, man, I always bowed the wrong way. I always sat facing the wrong wall. I was always like, oh, I'm facing the wrong thing. Darn it to
My
heck.
mom's always still correcting my bow.
My
My
gosh.
butt shouldn't be so high up.
How
It's
dare
all
you? I am not an animal made for Zen. I tried so hard and I just was like, I am not this animal. This is not me. This is not me. But the Tibetans are like, hey, messy, messy. And I'm like, hello, I'm a messy girl, but I brought cookies.
bring it on.
Oh,
Amazing. Oh, another connection there.
I know it's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
no, no, I don't want to digress too much because this is
but
really,
it's
really
pretty fun.
it is. It is. No, I love finding like that authentic connection there.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
It
Nervous
is.
system?
Yeah, so the nervous so
Yeah.
you articulated it very well, understanding like why the nervous system work is so important as we unlearn this emotional outsourcing. So I I wanna my audience and myself are, and I know you are too, love the science of things. So can you maybe
Uh-huh.
dive into, because not so much on the woo-woo thing, but like really this, what is happening in our bodies to understand and attune to ourselves? Because it seems like, what we were just talking about, like we learn these things from just childhood, not knowing any better. That's how the attachment there is and all this stuff. But we can unlearn by tuning into ourselves, deepening that deep trust, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, comes from tuning into our body, aligning with the nervous system. So can you help us maybe kind of set the stage of understanding our body, like how that works, and then we'll go into, well, then how can we
Yeah.
tune into our nervous system better to regulate ourselves and then to have that deepened self-trust.
Perfect. Any invitation to nerd out is my favorite invitation, so thank you.
Let's do it.
So the autonomic nervous system is the body's command center, coordinating everything we feel, think, and do through a very complex network that includes the brain, the spinal cord, and nerves that reach out throughout the entire body. So
Mhm.
it not only manages essential functions, heartbeat, digestion, the sort of like ticking
Yeah.
things, but it also governs our emotions, our behaviors, and this part's vital to this conversation, how safe we feel in the world. It is constantly scanning through a process called neuroception for cues of safety and threat. Now, Mama didn't say it's scanning for do they like me? It's scanning for are they going to snack me? Right? So we mostly focus on threat because that negativity bias has kept us alive all these years. Right? So our nervous system reacts to both real and perceived challenges. So the more actual challenges in your past, and epigenetics, hereditarily, the more your people have been through it, the more those stories are I like to think of them like VHS tapes. I'm just going to keep naming my age because I'm into it. They're like VHS tapes in our brain showing the video cassettes, the videotapes of old stresses, distresses, and trauma. And the brain is constantly like playing all those tapes all at once, like we're on Pee-wee's Playhouse, and is scanning the environment to say, does this look like previous doom? Does it smell like, taste like, feel like previous doom? That's hypothalamus is up in there. And so then it forms thought and behavior patterns in our modern life, in this present moment, based on our past experiences. Side note, that's what meditation helps with, right? Equanimity of meditation helps us to bring more ease into the present moment, so we're less reactive to the past. But maybe I'll come back and we'll do part 2 all about meditation and mindfulness. That'd be super
that'd
fun.
be beautiful after your book
That'd be
comes out.
super fun. Yeah. Do you want me to keep nerding? Because
Yes.
great.
Continue.
So the heart of this system are 3 main branches, and each impacts how we relate to ourselves and others and the world. So the sympathetic branch, that's fight, flight, panic, lions, or I have to cross the street in New York, right? We need a little adrenaline. We need a little sympathetic. We need to get up and go. Our body turns to sympathetic activation. Evolutionarily, on the savanna of time, it was activated in moments of danger, because it gets us ready to confront or flee a threat. And it can really get engaged in moments of perceived danger. So the brain is always saying, is that a lion? Oh, it's a tabby cat. Okay, but I'm glad I got anxious just in case. Oh no, is that a cobra? It's well, you know the old Buddhist story, right, of the rope, right? That this guy sat in meditation all night long thinking there was a cobra in his room, and by morning light, it was just a rope, and he'd been in panic all night, right? That whole long story. But that's the sympathetic branch that's saying, listen, it's better for everybody if I just make you panic just in case it's a cobra. And then when light comes, we'll see if it's just a rope, right? The problem with that in our modern life is that studies show that very few Americans are actively running from lions on a daily basis. It's just a small population. And so the main issue is emails and pings on your phone and not enough likes, and your mom, not yours, but somebody else's, right? And that's activating that same fight, flight, freeze, panic system that only a lion used to in the past. So we're going to hold that thought, talk about the other 2 branches, and come on back to talk about regulation.
Yes.
The other branch is called parasympathetic. Side note, these names suck. Sympathetic? But wait, sympathy means I care about your feelings, but I'm running? What? Just remember fight or flight, right? Exactly. It's the freak out. I honestly just think of it as
with that, yeah.
Right? I just think of it as freak out and just forget the sympathetic because it doesn't matter. So then parasympathetic, which also is like, what the hell does that even mean? That has 2 branches. Ventral vagal is the safe and social part of the nervous system. That's how I feel right now. I feel really chill. I feel really nice connecting with you. I'm talking about dorky things, and I love to do that because I'm a nerd. Parasympathetic, and specifically ventral vagal, is where the stuff of our animal runs best, meaning heart rate, breathing, digestion, like everything's really flowing. Like you ate a burger and the valve behind the burger closed so you don't get heartburn, and the valve in front of the burger opened, right? And the burger's moving through your digestion, easy peasy. No IBS, no SIBO, just burger in, burger out, the way it's supposed to be, gosh darn it. And those systems don't work so goodly in sympathetic or our final system, dorsal, which is the freeze response, which is I've been sitting in this cabin surrounded by ropes that I'm really sure are cobras for all night, and I've had so much panic, so much upset, so much frustration, so much stress, distress, and trauma that my nervous system was active, and gave up. I'll say it didn't give up. It just, I think there's not like a parent or person who's worked with children who doesn't understand by the 400th time they say, excuse me. You're just like, oh my God, I can't anymore. That's dorsal, right? That's I'll say that's like a metafora of dorsal, right? It's when the nervous system is in a freeze state because it believes you're about to be eaten. That's the science. It thinks you're about to be lunch. And so you flood with endogenous endorphins, with painkillers. How cool is that? Heart rate slows, breathing slows, digestion, forget about it. No, that burger's yours to keep now. And everything slows towards survival. You dissociate in the name of survival. You detach from identity, our previous conversation, in the name of survival. You just, wait, what? Chris who? Where am I? I'm Chris. No, what? Sorry, dorsal. Right? We're just not present. We're not in the room. So in sympathetic fight or flight, we're not in the room, and dorsal checkout, we're not in the room.
And that's part of the parasympathetic too, though.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'll give a nod here to Dr. Stephen Porges, PhD, who is the scientist who came up with polyvagal theory. We
Yeah.
will, yeah, it's important for me as a nerd to make the caveat that it's a theory and there's lots of problems with the theory. And it's such a great metaphor. So I engage with it significantly as a metaphor.
Got it, got it,
As a
got it.
metaphor before someone writes to you and is like, well, the brachial,
Yeah.
the vagal brake. Sure. Yes.
Collecting us and everything. And
Meow,
yeah.
meow, meow. Yes. Problems. And it's a metaphor here. So, right. So anytime we feel like that, like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed, kind of shut down overwhelm, that's dorsal. It's using freeze as a protective mechanism. It's deer in the headlights, possum playing possum, just kind of checked out. And so many of us get what feels like stuck in sympathetic overdrive or dorsal shutdown when we are constantly reacting to stress. And that can create habits like people pleasing, perfectionist, or codependent thinking because they are amazing escape valves. Amazing escape valves, right? They're brilliant protection, right? Someone doesn't like what you're doing. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, totally, totally, totally. Whatever you say, whatever you want. You're right. Fine, great, cool, appeasing, fawning, perfect. Who am I? What do I want? I don't know. Forgot that 20 years ago. But I've kept everyone around me happy because my nervous system is overwhelmed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the work of nervous system regulation is not about being calm all the time. Right? As meditators, we know that that's not the goal. It's not to like make your mind quiet because good luck with that, right? The goal is, I mean, honestly, it's equanimity, right? It's coming back into presence with self and being able to choose to do one of two things: to stay with the big feeling
Mm.
or to calm the big feeling. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but watching US politics, I'm really pissed off. I'm really, really angry and really, 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 really sad. Like both of those things at the same time, right? And I don't want to stop having those feelings. And I need to regulate my nervous system so I'm not like punching walls and can actually have these vital conversations, right? So it's not about negating my emotions. That's not what nervous system regulation is at all. Nervous system regulation is about coming out of that revved up or that shut down survival mode and having the capacity to feel what you're feeling without getting hijacked by it. Right?
Yeah.
It's your system's ability to come home to baseline
Hmm.
after stress or during, but I aim for after, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Listen, I'll nerd
Loved
anytime.
it. I loved it, but that's a good stop point there because you said something also really powerful. I never thought about it, about emotional regulation gives you, it's not about calm, which is really powerful because I feel like that's just an easy way to just kind of blanket, but you can choose to either
Yeah.
stay with your feeling. Like that's really powerful too. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that, and I think that's really important for people to like hear instead of like because isn't it common people will not everyone but it's a common thing for some to kind of bury or suppress their feelings because you're not supposed to feel them. Like, oh,
Well,
it's bad to feel them.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge problem in the like white wellness machine, right?
Mm,
It becomes about low vibration feelings, and you just need to
yeah. Ugh,
take more ayahuasca until you don't have those low vibration
I can't.
feelings. You know what, Bethany? No, absolutely, I'm not interested. I'm
Karen.
not interested,
Yeah.
right? I want to feel all my feelings. What else am I here for?
That's
Also,
the beauty
yeah,
of also being human.
come
Like, that's what I
on,
don't
come
resonate with.
on.
Like, chasing happiness. I need to be happy
Yeah,
every single 24/7 type of thing. I
no,
need
no,
to be
no, no,
positive.
no,
Like, that's not normal. That's not
no,
human. But I think
no.
that was really powerful. You get to choose. And so it
Yeah.
seems like also to be able to regulate your nervous system and choose one of these two states, you need to be aware of these physiological states.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
you name so many, like, your heart rate, whether it slows down or beats faster, to deer in the headlights, all of that, that I think many who may be in the habit of people pleasing, etc., emotional outsourcing, will just override, right? So,
Yeah, and I think that's where I just want to pause for
mhm,
compassion,
mhm,
right? Little tongue practice for us that,
mhm,
you know, our nervous system gets this set point. The literature calls it a window of tolerance. I don't like the word tolerance because I work with humans assigned female at birth. We tolerate way too much. Like if you're
mhm,
socialized as a girl. And so I like the term window of capacity. And so
mhm.
it's like a window in your apartment. If you've got a window that's 4 inches big, can you fit your microwave through it? No, you can't fit your mattress sideways through it. We need to widen the window to let the emotions, the feelings, the experiences in and out that we want to have in flow. And so that's the somatic work, the body based work I do with my clients. What I go over in the book in End Emotional Outsourcing is all about learning new skills, new tools to widen that window, to have more capacity, to let more emotions in and more emotions out, more experiences, right? So that when something horrible happens, we don't go to the platitude that you were mentioning, right? Of like the toxic positivity of like, well, it's all for a reason. And we don't go to completely destroyed and distraught for weeks and months every day, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There are the big things, right? The parent or partner died, right? We're sidetracking those, right? But like, we don't get bent into like a full emotional pretzel over traffic,
Yeah,
right? But we don't but we can still say, oh, this traffic's wicked annoying.
yeah.
Want to listen to some music, right? Like we can have, I don't want to say appropriate in a judgy way, but in a like, it feels appropriate for you and your body response to life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That,
all.
yeah,
Yeah.
appropriate for, again, for your body. It ties into, I just feel like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, like, why emotional regulation and unlearning these emotional outsourcing habit really ties so deeply into the like knowing your physiology, really,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you can't, because it sounds like all of this, first of all, we're also having, I mean, I believe we're having a biological experience. You can't,
Yes.
biology is a fact, okay? And our body will have this physiological experiences and we will
Yeah.
have these affective feelings as well. So that it seems like because that is happening, all these physiological changes that are happening, we can't just think our way to feel better.
Right.
Is that why, like, the somatic work, understanding the body and how your body is literally telling you through these physiological changes that, like, you can't just tell yourself, like, it'll be
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
like positive affirmations, like, no, because your body is telling you, like attend to regulate my
Right.
heart rate.
Right. Because it's existential. That's the thing we have to great. So let's go back to my definition of emotional outsourcing. It's when we
Mm,
source our sense of the three vital human needs: safety, belonging, which is safety, and worth, which is belonging, which is safety, right? We need to feel safe as mammals. Listen, we're pretty small. And don't come at me that you're 6 foot. Look at a hippo. You know what I mean? You're small, right? Look at a lion, look at a tiger. We're very small animals. We need one another. And so if we don't feel safe with ourselves, because we don't trust ourselves, because we don't know what we want, we don't know what we need, we don't know who we are, and we don't feel safe with each other, right? Then the physiologic animal that your consciousness is in isn't going to rest and relax. Certainly isn't going to like change your mindset. It just doesn't work, because what we're dealing with is implicit memory, right? We're dealing with this, I don't want to say hardwired in a permanent way, but like this hardwired story of what's of life. Right? Because emotional outsourcing isn't just a belief system. It's not a mindset. It's not just stories. It's physiological survival strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you've spent your entire life orienting towards others, right, hyper attuned to their emotions, walking on eggshells, anticipating needs before they're spoken, then your nervous system has wired itself to prioritize external safety over internal stability. Right. And so we lose all interoception. So we talked about neuroception, when our nervous system is sept to know, knowing about the environment and safety. Interoception is what happens inside the animal. How do I feel inside? So emotional outsourcing pulls us away from ourselves and melds us with the people around us. Right? Role confusion stuff. And somatics, body-based practices, help bring us back into interoception, into knowing ourselves from the inside out. Right? Because before you can shift behavior, you have to actually feel yourself as an individuated, separate person. And I laugh because it seems so freaking basic, but most of us don't feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So we really need somatics, because we need to rebuild interoception. We need to retrain our nervous system to feel safe with things like boundaries, with risking rejection or abandonment. Because the story, my having opinions, wants, and needs leads to physical danger is imprinted in the nervous system. It's one of those implicit memories that we can use somatic practices to shift and change.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Very cool. And I love that when you touched on interoception, it reminds me when I learned about it through Lisa Feldman Barrett's work, which was like life-changing for me in terms of, are you familiar with her? I'm sure.
I'm not, but I want to look her up the second we're done.
Oh my gosh, wow. I think there's definitely some overlap, but also maybe kind of different perspectives. But she's a neuroscientist, and she wrote a book called How Emotions Are Made. Our brain constructs emotions, and she talks about how emotions are concepts, but based on our interoception, what you just touched on, the physiological effect, and then the memories and past experiences, you touched on that too, because our brain's number one job is to keep us alive and well, which is everything that you said. So anyway, I love that you touched on that. Reminded me of her work. But tying back to, I want to make sure we get like one little tidbit here of that somatic practice, because it's expertise, but the listeners will have to get the book when it comes out. I believe late September. When is it?
Yeah, September 30th. You can
Okay.
pre-order it now, and
Figure
it'll.
it out.
Yep.
We won't give away all the gems, but if we can, because they need to get it in the book, but if you can just give us like one like tidbit of what is a somatic practice that someone can start to learn to tune into the interoception or the physiological stages, all of that to trust our body and to regulate ourselves from that point versus outsourcing.
Yay. So somatics, I keep saying somatics or body-based practices, are any modalities that bring us back into conscious presence and awareness of body as self. So it's the shift from I have a body to I am my body. Susan McConnell talks a lot about that. I am
Mm-hmm.
my body, right? It's not just the thing moving me around.
Yeah.
So, in emotional outsourcing, like we've been talking about, we're constantly projecting our energy onto everyone else, scanning for danger, scanning for their emotions. And somatic practices help you bring it all back home into yourself and orient your life towards you, right?
Mm.
I think of like, I've been scared of change because I built my life around you. Like I heard that song this weekend. You know what I'm and
No, I don't know
it's
that song.
I've been scared. I don't know who it is. I'm also not gonna sing because the Hague's gonna call me. Anyway, we'll move on.
Uh-huh.
But so one of the things we do is hyper attune to everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. And so in order to come back into self, we need to learn to both recognize and stop hyper attunement. So what I
Mm.
love about this practice that I came up with is it works on several different angles of our emotional outsourcing and can take about 4 seconds, which is really,
Okay.
really nice. So
Mhm.
the next time you feel yourself focusing on someone else's mood, their energy, their wants, their needs, and it's not your job to do that,
Yeah.
right? If you're at work and it's your job to hyper attune, please. But it's not your job. It's just your habit. Pause. Put a hand on your own body, anywhere that feels safe. It can be your hand, your heart, your chest, your belly. It could be your own hands. You could hold your own hand. Feel your feet on the earth.
Hmm.
Now gently look around the space you're in. This is called orienting. And it reminds your nervous system that you're here and now in the here and now. You're not back in the then that was so scary and bad. You're not
Mm.
then. You're grown. You're now. And so we orient by literally just looking around. And if you're super freaked out and that doesn't feel okay, just orient to your own hand. Look at all those pretty lines. Flex the little joints. Ooh, look, I have fingers. Yeah, look at the palm, look at the top. Orient to your hand or orient to the world around you.
Mm.
And then come back to self. So we always orient first so we don't freak our nervous systems out and then come home. What
Mm.
do I want right now? What's the story I'm telling right now? Well, I got to take care of them. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So we're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to change it. Huh? That's not where we start. We pause and we notice the story. If you are able to connect it with a sensation in the body, go for it. Oh,
Mhm.
wow. When I am trying to micromanage other people's feelings, my chest feels so tight, or my belly feels grumbly, or whatever you may notice. People will often say, oh, here's what came to mind, but I don't know if it's right. If it came to mind, it's right. Trust it. Just trust it. And then as you bring awareness to that, shift your eyes to your surroundings and name 3 things you see. So, like water, earrings, lip balm. No,
Mm.
don't make it big, don't make it complicated, right? Cat, trampoline. Notice.
Mm.
Take a breath and notice your own internal state once more. So, what we're doing is called pendulation, like a pendulum swinging. So, we go in and then out, and then in and then out, right? In, out to something safe, and back in to feeling our own feelings, which may or may not be safe, and bringing awareness inside, which may or may not be safe, and then going out. And then once you've done that a couple times and you feel a little more grounded in self, re-engage with the other person and see what's possible. Right?
Mm.
Maybe for the first time in your life, you'll hear yourself say something like, it sounds like you're really angry, instead
Mm.
of, oh, well, you're really angry, so you know what you should do, and like
Mhm.
managing it. Maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll stay in the old habit a little longer, but you'll do it with a little more awareness. So this
Oh,
works because it interrupts that like habitual pull of hyperattunement and redirects your attention back to yourself.
fascinating. So
So
that,
simple.
yeah, so simple, but like powerful. And during
Yeah.
that process of what you're doing called orienting, you're creating the presence with yourself. And during
Yeah.
that time, is it then your nervous system gets into equanimity then? Because like, or what's happening that allows our nervous system to then regulate? Or is it that like we're not flooded in our amygdala anymore so that we have a space to like breathe and not like react?
Yeah, so so when we are activated out of ventral vagal into sympathetic activation or dorsal shutdown, it's
Mm-hmm.
because there's perceived or real danger. If there's real danger, have a real reaction.
Yeah.
Please run.
Yes.
But if it's perceived danger, where's the perception? The perception's in the past,
Hmm.
right? It's a story of the past that we are projecting onto this moment or into a possible future moment. That's what rumination is. And so when we orient, we bring the nervous system, we bring self, we bring ourselves back into the here and now. Because I can't possibly be running from a lion and slowing down to name the things on my desk.
Oh,
Hair
yes.
tie, lip balm, necklace,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Painting, window, lamp.
Mm.
Right? No, people who are running from lions don't do that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That was
Yeah.
beautifully said.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bea, wow,
Yes.
we've already come to an hour, but I want to wrap this
Wow.
up.
Yes.
Yeah. No, this engaging conversation flies by, so thank you for that. I want to wrap this in a bow. If somebody's listening to this and they now realize because you help put words to what they've been experiencing
Mm-hmm.
that, oh, I've been emotionally outsourcing. I didn't realize it. Maybe even for decades.
Yep.
What is one thing you want to leave them with today in this episode?
Buy my book. Uh, but yeah, I think that that exercise we did is a really great place to start. We have to bring our awareness, our presence, our sense of self back home into our own bodies.
Mhm.
Um, bring presence back to ourselves. That's the best place to start. Because if we're actually going to rewire these habits in a really intentional, integrative way, mind, body, spirit, it needs to start with coming home to self. So I'd start
Beautiful.
there. Yeah,
Beautiful.
thank
Or
you.
before you share where everyone is going to get the book, I do have one closing tradition. If you can go back to your younger self, Bea, and leave her with one piece of wisdom about anything that you want to share with the younger Bea, what would you like to tell her?
Oh gosh, it would be exactly this. To trust herself and to come back home to her body. To
Mm.
really focus on embodiment over pretty much everything. Because then you make the best decisions from embodiment, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I
Yeah.
certainly have been. I've been someone who over intellectualizes things and have learned to really appreciate the wisdom that's in our body by
Yeah.
tuning in,
Right
versus,
on.
to use your words, outsourcing. So it's perfect time for you to share with my listeners. Where can they get the book? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, so you can get all the details about buying the book. You can learn more about me and my work, my free podcast, Feminist Wellness.
Mhm.
You can learn more at my website, which is my first name, last name.com, Beatriz, which is Beatrice with a Z, Beatriz, Albina, ALB as in boy, INA.com/book. You can learn more there. And buy the book. You can pre-order. There's all sorts of really great presents for pre-orders. So I'm excited
Thank
for everyone
you.
to check that out.
Yes, congratulations on your
Thank you
first book. Is
so
it your
much.
first?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
I want to thank you for your presence, your energy, and just everything that you brought to this dynamic conversation and
Thank you.
just
Thank you.
passion you bring to help
Thanks,
women.
Chris.
Yeah, it's been
Really
wonderful talking
appreciate
to
it.
you.
Thank you.